On just about every construction project, there's this hidden source of chaos, something that can totally derail your schedule and your budget before you've even broken ground. Today, we're going to dig into what's known as the vendor coordination problem.
All right, let me ask you something. When you think about risk on a job site, what comes to mind? I bet you're thinking about materials, right? Or labor shortages, or maybe just the sheer complexity of the build. But what if the biggest hidden risk, the one that sneaks up on you, is actually none of those things?
It turns out the answer isn't really about what you're building. It's all about how you set the stage. And it all boils down to this one critical and honestly often overlooked part of any project: coordinating the general conditions.
So, to really grasp why this is such a huge deal, we've got to talk about what general conditions actually are. And trust me, it's way more than just a line item for a site trailer. Okay, so a good way to define it is this. General conditions are all the essential operations and indirect costs that, while not part of the physical building, are absolutely vital to get the project done right. I like to think of it as the project's central nervous system, It's everything that makes the site function: project management, site access, permits, safety, all that crucial background stuff. Just look at this list for a second. And believe me, this is just a small taste of what goes into a typical site setup. We're talking fencing, temporary power, water, toilets, dumpsters, security. I mean, the list just goes on and on. And here's the kicker. Every single one of these things, it usually needs its own vendor, its own contract, its own schedule. You can see how this gets complicated fast. And that right there, that brings us to the core of the issue. We call it the fragmentation problem. The old school way of doing things is trying to juggle all these different vendors at once. It turns into this massive logistical puzzle for the project manager before a single shovel even hits the dirt.
This slide, man, this lays it out perfectly. On the left, you've got the old way. It's pure chaos, right? Multiple contacts, invoices scattered everywhere, and when something goes wrong, good luck figuring out who's actually responsible. But then look at the right, a single point of contact. All of a sudden, everything is consolidated, and accountability is crystal clear. This isn't just about making life easier, it's about taking real control of your project's foundation.
Okay, so what does all this fragmentation actually do in the real world? It's not just a headache for the PM, though it's definitely that. No, this introduces some serious hidden costs and risks that can create a ripple effect through the entire project. And that ripple effect can be pretty dangerous. Before you know it, your project manager is burning half their day chasing down the portable toilet guy instead of, managing the actual build. Communication between vendors starts to break down, and that creates serious safety gaps. A small delay in getting temporary power? Boom, your whole schedule gets pushed back. This is exactly how tiny problems snowball into huge issues and just compound your execution risk. And this right here, this is a perfect example of how an abstract idea like risk becomes a life or death situation. We know that one of the top causes of fatalities on a work site is people getting hit by vehicles or equipment. Now imagine a site with a dozen different uncoordinated vendors and delivery trucks all coming and going. The risk of a terrible accident just skyrockets. So good coordination, it's not just about being efficient, it's about keeping people safe. So let's play this out. The fence company leaves a gate unlocked. The security guard on patrol doesn't notice. The next morning, a bunch of tools are missing. Who's at fault? Who pays for it? See, when responsibilities are all chopped up like this, accountability just evaporates. It turns into a giant game of finger pointing. So the solution isn't to just get better at juggling. The real answer is to change the system entirely. And that's where a centralized model comes in. It's a true structural solution to this whole mess.
It's actually pretty straightforward. First, you get one single point of contact. One call handles all your site setup and logistics. Then, that dedicated partner takes over all the vendor management, the scheduling, the invoicing, all of it. This makes execution so much smoother, which means you can mobilize faster. And the most important part, you get clear, undeniable accountability. One partner is responsible for getting that site ready to go, period.
And this quote really nails the whole idea behind it. When we say turnkey solution, what we really mean is getting rid of all that hassle, all that friction in the setup process. The goal is simple: let builders focus on building. All right, so what's the big payoff here? What do you actually get from all this? It comes down to one word: predictability. When you control the coordination from the very beginning, you have a way better chance of controlling the final outcome. So let's break down who really benefits and how.
Okay, if you're a GC or a CM, the benefits hit you right away. Your project managers are no longer buried in admin work, which means they can focus on the important stuff. And your bottom line is protected from all those costly delays that come from bad coordination. Now, for project owners, you get more control, you get clearer communication, and a whole lot less risk of claims and disputes down the road. It really is a win-win for everyone involved.
At the end of the day, this is about a fundamental shift in how you approach a project. When you deliberately structure the coordination of your general conditions, you're not just buying a bunch of services. You're buying predictability. You're literally building it into the project's DNA right from day one. So I'll just leave you with this one final thought to chew on. If your team is always in reactive mode, just putting out fires caused by a mess of uncoordinated vendors, are you really managing your project's risk? Or is the risk managing you? It's definitely something to think about.